A massive cabinet shuffle here at Queen's Park today as Doug Ford tries to reset his struggling government. More than half of his ministers are moving to new portfolios with 3 big demotions. This is clearly a government that knows it needs to make big changes fast to try and stop the bleeding in the polls.
I can tell you after a year in office, we made some changes, as you saw, to make sure that we have the right people in the right place at the right time.
Ford defended the ministers he demoted today, but moving them is a big acknowledgement serious mistakes have been made. Finance Minister Vic Fedeli is out, demoted to economic development. Shuffling a finance minister right after a budget is unheard of, but Fedeli's unpopular budget was met with a fierce backlash, which contributed to the drop in the polls. Rod Phillips, who is considered a star performer in environment, is taking over finance. Lisa MacLeod, who's been vilified for her handling of the autism file, has been removed as Minister of Social Services and will head up tourism. It is a hard demotion. Now she'll be in charge of revitalizing Ontario Place. And Lisa Thompson has been removed as Education Minister after floundering in the role. Stephen Lecce, who was once a press secretary to Stephen Harper, is leapfrogging to take over the second largest ministry just before teacher contracts expire. Attorney General Caroline Mulroney is now the Transportation Minister. Insiders say it's not a demotion. She'll be in charge of building transit, including the relief line, which the Premier has promised to complete in 8 years. But will this shuffling do anything to help Doug Ford win over a testy public that seems to have turned on him? Premier, you've changed your cabinet, but what about you? A government starts at the top, that's with you. What are you going to do to change? Do you think you need to change?
Well, I think I've always been a believer, and I've said this in front of the media many times. I look at continuous improvement. It starts with me. Every one of our cabinet ministers, I feel, have done a good job, but we can always do a better job. I can always do a better job as well.
Well, as long as the message stays the same, it doesn't matter who the messenger is.
You know, people say shuffling the deck. I think it's a bit more of a case of 52 pickup. You throw all the cards on the floor, you pick up the cards and see what you've got. The problem is, it doesn't matter what he has. His priorities are still the same.
Ford says his government needs to do a better job communicating and threw some shade at the media in the process.
I know that might be tough for some of you, but I just expect you to be fair and balanced moving forward in year 2, and hopefully I can see that from the media.
Former Premier Dalton McGuinty used to call politics around here a blood sport, and it certainly can be. Doug Ford knows he needs to turn things around, or else the knives will be sharpened and come out. Now, there was a lot of speculation as well that maybe he would get rid of his controversial Chief of Staff, Dean French, who is known to wield his power with a heavy hand. I'm told Dean French is staying put exactly where he is.